All right, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Excited that you're all here. We have plenty to share with you. We're going to go ahead and start with a couple of poll questions just so we can understand who you are. And so we're tailoring all of our amazing content and advice to specific people in the room. So tell us. What are you? Are you a brand? Are you a service provider? Are you an agency? Are you our competitors out there? I'm sure there's some of you in the room who can see you now. Are you somebody else?
So we have 82% have voted, 66% are brands, 5% are service providers, 18% are agency, and 10% are other.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. I believe we have another question. What's your revenue goals this quarter? You knock it out of the park? You're just trying to break even? Where are you? What are you trying to do this quarter? It's going to be a big one. Tell us where you are in size. So again, we can tailor our messaging and content to you.
All right, so 80% voted. We have 14% are up to 100,000, 33% are between 100,000 and 500,000 in revenue, 24% are 500,000 to 2 mil, 18% are 2 mil plus, and 12% say it doesn't matter to me as long as I break even.
I love it. Thank you so much for contributing. Great, that helps us. Let's go ahead and get started here. Cool. So we got a lot of speakers here in the room, a lot of experts, and I'm going to start with our very own Chanel is our head of Lifecycle marketing here. She heads up all of our email division and Lifecycle division. She's well known with all things CRO, email, SMS. Next up, we got Matt. He is our Senior Agency Partnership Manager at Klayvio. He's helped us with scale so many brands and really get into the weeds with Klavio, and he's got a tremendous amount of insight. Matt at Justuno, who is been working with us since we were in the beginning, early stages of us being an agency. We've made so many really amazing experiences on site. We're going to show you some of those today, some really interesting tactical ways to drive up urgency, capture emails, and some things maybe you've never seen before. So excited there. And then Katie, of course, who heads up enterprise customer success at Yotpo. She's got a lot of great things that we're going to be going into on both from the review standpoint, segmentation, some advanced strategies with loyalty programs, a lot of really great stuff there. How's everyone doing today?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Doing well.
Let's do it. Awesome. So look, it's an interesting time given everything that's happening in 2020. I think the amount of things that keep rolling out is kind of tremendously surprising. But 2020 has been also a great time for e-commerce, and I think it's going to be a wonderful time for brands to really scale online. In this webinar specifically, we're going into all things CRO, lifecycle marketing, SMS even, and really what we're trying to do, and by the way, if you haven't seen the first webinar, it was action-packed with paid media strategies. Now it's about like how do we really drive revenue with the different strategies we have, whether that's on site or with the email or SMS databases that we have. Straight up, the agenda is we're going to go just into retention marketing 101, really how to set things up and get you from setting things up, but also some of the advanced strategies we look at here at MuteSix. We look at essentially how to make your shoppers really happy, but also drive you know, a big return on the email database that you have. And then we're going to go right into tactics, right? So we're going to show you all of our email flows, what they look like, what on-site messaging might look like, what you need to think about in terms of communicating certain deal flows, or you know, certain things that are happening, especially this year, just with given that you know, all consumer behavior is pretty much moving online here. And then you know, we're going to talk a little bit about what to do to not only you know, capture that initial revenue set, but also you know, messaging in a way that also attracts buyers and really extending out your LTV. And then of course we'll kind of switch it to you from a Q&A standpoint and see if you guys have questions for all of our experts here. Cool. So really quick, MuteSix, if you know anything about us, we're one of the biggest D2C marketing agencies in the business, and essentially we've got all sorts of clients, big and small. We've been around for about 7 years. We're the #1 most awarded Facebook ad agency. We do everything full funnel, whether that's driving demand with paid media or working in CRO, lifecycle marketing, and then we explore a lot of different other channels like TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, things like that. We've had success across the board with mostly D2C brands, occasionally some other big brands looking to go D2C as well. We've helped a lot of clients either raise capital or actually exit. And there's about 260 people here who are all just D2C on their mind all day. A lot of fun. So if you want to hit us up, please reach out to us after this. But let's go ahead and move on. Part 3 of our webinar series is everything around, so essentially we're looking at, it's titled Show Me the Revenue, Tips and Tricks to Boost Profits. We're going to be talking with our partner Klarna about some cool things you could be doing there, but ultimately also the amount of channels we're bringing, you know, that are exploratory and different and exciting. We're going to dive deep in there. Some of them are really popping off, like really driving revenue with influencer programs and partnerships, which can be hit or miss, but with TikTok on the rise, it's absolutely taking off. A lot of really cool things there. We're also going to be talking with our Amazon experts here who are doing some wonderful things as well, and then exploring programmatic channels, whether that's connected TV, things like display, and then of course your native and other exploratory channels that kind of wrap under programmatic. So a lot of really interesting things happening there. I would definitely not miss it. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's just go into why lifecycle marketing is key. You know, as we're seeing e-commerce grow and customer acquisition costs obviously rise, you know, I'd really like to kind of get this over to Katie. Tell us, you put this in the deck. What are you thinking here? What are we seeing? And you know, why is customer LTV and lifecycle marketing so important to this whole equation?
Yeah, so obviously, as we've seen over the course of the last couple of months, there are going to be so many more brands that are moving online, which means more competition for all e-commerce across the board. So trends have indicated that we'll continue to see customer acquisition costs rise. So the amount that you have to spend on Facebook ads and really go into acquiring that customer ultimately continues to eat into the profitability. So what we really focus on at Yotpo is doubling down on lifecycle retention. So specifically in like with loyalty programs, how you can grow the lifetime value of individual customers, ensuring that they're making multiple purchases, not just coming to you one time. So we'll get in today specifically, like with some of those holiday shoppers you're going to invest in acquiring, what we can do to ensure that they're a profitable customer, that you can capture them for repeat purchases.
I love this. There's a great marketer out there named Dan Kennedy, and he's a thing. He's like those who can spend the most on acquiring a customer end up winning in the long run. And that's basically saying that obviously with your LTV, with raising your LTV, you're actually able to kind of spend more from a CAC perspective, which is just really important. Let's go ahead and move on here. Matt, you know, you're seeing some crazy numbers here in terms of what's possible. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we had to put that note on the slide, because that's not a misprint, making sure everybody's clear that that's $1 trillion is what e-commerce sales could hit this year. And obviously we all knew going into 2020 that we were going to continue to see the gradual increase in the e-commerce space. But with the event around COVID occurring, you're seeing it go to just completely different levels. You're seeing brands get almost forced into embracing e-commerce where they may have been slow to embrace that earlier on. And so now as we head into the fourth quarter, which is always the biggest part of the e-commerce year, we're preparing and trying to see, what is this going to look like? You see that other part on there that 90% of consumers polled are now shopping online. You're seeing that, brick and mortar stores are not going to be open or having anything around Black Friday. And so you're seeing this complete shift and having to pay attention to what is out there and how are you going to compete in such now an even further hyper competitive space.
Yeah, no, it's a wild time for sure. And I think you hit it right on the head. 1.1 trillion. I had to do a double take on this for sure. It's pretty nuts. And when there's some graphs out there about how fast we've slingshotted forward in terms of D2C as being a portion of all retail sales. I think they're projecting 27 to 28% when last year we were at 14. So pretty maddening and pretty exciting times. Let's go ahead and move on. What are some of the things that successful brands could really do to solidify their success? I mean, it's all right here, right, Matt? So
yeah. So, I mean,
yeah.
what we've been talking about now for about a year at Klayvio outwardly is the concept around owned marketing. And I think there's other people that are talking about it. And, this is the phrase that we stick with. And it's really the idea that how valuable your data is as a brand and what are you doing with it in terms of creating that personalization. And again, back to the last point, it becomes even more relevant going forward. And to Katie's point around, the cost of acquisition, having the power of that data and being able to use it to create personalized experiences is what's going to cut through that competitive nature. The brands that have access to their data and then know how to put really strong strategies around it, those are going to be the ones that succeed and actually continue to ride the wave of momentum around e-commerce as we go forward.
Great. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think on this next slide here, you talk a little bit about how brands are doing that. It's interesting that you're able to actually match up. I mean, how is your technology able to segment by gender, right? Because you're assuming, is it based off? I'd love to just kind of understand the algorithm a little bit more.
So I'm definitely going to butcher the great work of our data science team in-house, but I'll explain it as best that I can. And we do have documents that we publish to give everybody a really deep dive into it. But one of the predictive analytics features our data science team has released in the last year is around predictive gender. They went and looked at US Census data and ran calculations to take, names that were associated with genders and the likelihood statistically of how they compare that up. Now, we don't recommend going so full force to actually call it out because you don't know if somebody's actually going to fall within that spectrum. But we're giving you a guide to be able to use things like dynamic product blocks so that you're really personalizing the likelihood of who that email is going to. That, I'm not seeing a pair of women's shoes where I should be seeing, and I was interested in, backpacks or jeans or things like that that I'd be looking for. So our team continues to do that. It's really exciting that we've invested as much in the data science team as we have and will continue to. And all of that comes from the fact that we are storing all of the first-party consented opt-in data from customers on the brand's profiles and creating these individualized profiles so that you can see a single individual snapshot, but then in aggregate, you're able to then go ahead and build segments and create automation so that you're going and talking to people in a way that they expect to hear with relevant information at a time that means the most to them.
Right, and I think you've outlined that here, buying at least once a month. So how significant or how deep does your analytics go in terms of trying to find patterns in certain behaviors? Is it these, or there's some other ones you want to hit on too?
Yeah, I think there's some really cool things when you're looking at overall predictive analytics where we're looking at like churn risk prediction, which you see on the slide. You can see if somebody, and this is especially relevant for high use items, if somebody's purchasing, makeup or CPG supplement type healthcare items, if it's on a use case where you typically see the average use take about 30 days, we're going to be able to show that on the profile level that, hey, this person typically reorders every 30 days. You're probably going to want to set up an automation to trigger to them every 21 days and be like, hey, it's time to reorder. And, here's what you had previously, and be able to suggest those items. And we populate all Klayvio stores once they hit a few criteria in terms of age of the store, number of purchases. Once we have the statistically significant items in place, then you're able to actually start seeing this. It'll just show up into your account one day, and then each of your profiles will have it for your customers, but as well as being able to aggregate and build segments off of that data. So I could say, I only want to talk to somebody who's opened an email in the last 30 days, who is coming up within 7 days of needing to make a purchase based on the algorithm, and then be able to trigger something out based on that. So we're really continuing to just invest in this area, being very transparent around how the data arrives at that point, and enabling brands to get hyper-personalized with meaningful information.
I love that. I love that. All right, let's continue on here. And I mean, I think this is it in a nutshell, right? I mean, this seems like the most basic version of what you're talking about, right? Is like being able to show product specific to certain demographics based off of pattern behavior and everything else that it sounds like you do. Did you add anything else to this?
No, I think this is like the beautiful end result of what you get. All of that work is going on in the background. Brands are working with agencies and in-house to create this strategy. And what you see on the screen now is, the beautiful end result of delivering something that fits with the creative, but also is sending directly, the exact items that are falling within that interest level, which is obviously going to help aid conversions down the road. And then as we go forward later today, I'll kind of talk a little bit more of how this relates to specific use cases that you can use for the holidays.
I love it. Okay, great. All right, then shifting gears here, Chanel, and then also maybe Maddie B. I'm gonna start calling you Maddie B because we literally have two Matts in the room. So Maddie B is now your official name. And Chanel, I'd love for you guys to talk about a little bit about the tools of the trade here, right? So, I see this a lot when I'm, auditing brands that are either coming to us or, brands that come to us and want to build out everything they possibly can. What are we looking at here? What are the tools of the trade to capturing emails or SMS? And then ultimately, it seems like these are best practices as well. But please feel free to hit on each of these and tell us, what's going on and what's the recommendation for brands that potentially don't have these in place.
Chanel, you want to go first?
Awesome. Yeah, I can jump in. You guys super excited to be here. I'm sorry that my camera isn't working, but that's okay because we put together these beautiful slides for you to stare at anyways. So yeah, just to kind of play off of what we've been talking about so far, obviously collecting customer data is going to be the most important thing for you guys to be able to control your brand messaging and communicate with prospective clients. And so I would say the lowest hanging fruit, the first initiative we launch for any new client that's coming on, if they don't already have one, is a welcome pop-up asking for email address or SMS once they get to your website. And then personalizing the experience as much as you can after that. So if they do sign up and they get a discount code, show them the code next time they come to the site with a countdown timer, reminding them to use it. If they don't sign up right away, there's a lot of other strategies we can utilize to eventually get their contact info later in the funnel. So maybe they just need to educate themselves on the brand a little bit more, add a sticky tag at the bottom of your site. So then if they do decide, hey, I actually do want that 15% off, they have the option of giving you their email address and taking advantage of that discount code. But again, for some brands, it takes a little bit more education. People aren't necessarily ready, on that first touch. So utilizing things like an exit intent pop-up when they intend to leave the site, if they have something in their cart but they go to leave, make sure you're collecting that email address so you can follow up with messaging about the product that they had in their cart, or just educating them more and more towards that purchase. So definitely a lot of strategies we utilize to just get that initial email address. Matt, I'll let you kind of step in and talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great tips and good foundational things that we recommend to any new merchant. I think Moody mentioned any person coming on a MuteSix, you probably do a great evaluation of like how you guys are capturing leads, and then what flows are you putting them in Klayvio. I think an interesting point that Matt mentioned around predictive analytics and giving people suggestions and product recommendations. If you are going to run some sort of lead capture component, whether it's on the entry or the exit, the cool thing with Justuno is you can capture a lot of great data points, whether the URL they're on, where they're coming from, what was in their cart. You can show them coupon codes and pass that over into Klavio, so you can have that type of data to provide and put into the machine in Klayvio to help with your predictive analytics. But thinking about what Kate mentioned earlier with the paid ad component, I think ad spend is just increasing day by day. You're getting some click-throughs, but those conversion rates are usually pretty low. I know MuteSix does a great job of breaking the funnel in terms of paid ads. You have your prospecting ads or your retargeting ads, but maybe showing different messages to those audiences. I like to think about the on-site displays and segmentation the same way you would with email with your paid ads. Show somebody a relevant message that can help them opt into your marketing channels, purchase at a higher rate. If someone's clicking through a paid ad, maybe show them a gamified way of opting into your list. But if somebody's been to your site 3 or 4 times, maybe they've clicked through ads, maybe they've engaged with a previous pop-up in a visit, those people have a higher intent. So show them a different message. I think the main thing to take away for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and on-site displays is, I think there's going to be a higher demand. People are shopping online, stores are closed, consumers are gravitating towards online shopping. So segment out some messages and promotions where you can create that intent and get that purchase quicker, but you're also not giving away potential margins to people that maybe don't need that 20% discount. Maybe they need a gift with purchase. So I know MuteSix has some great practices that they implement with any new merchant, and I would definitely lean on them to help you out this Black Friday, Cyber Monday season.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So like when I look at that too, Sarah, can you go back for a second? When I look at that too, one of the biggest ones from a paid media strategy, when you're trying to drive a lot of top of funnel and people aren't necessarily ready to convert yet, but maybe they'll sign up for a promo, but they don't get necessarily through the flow entirely. So like you capture quite a bit of intent, and then you can remarket to those people through obviously your welcome flows, or capture them through like exit pop-ups here. An interesting stat when we measure it. So we find that through all of these different sort of tools, whether it's exit pops, welcome pops, creating like unique first time offer pops or countdowns with the unobar, for instance, we find that CPA tends to actually decrease by about 15 to 20% when you actually execute all of these different strategies with your paid media as well. Versus I think a lot of brands out there don't necessarily have all of this sort of in place, or aren't doing it at all, which means that you can, without even touching your paid media strategy at all, just through implementing all of this, you can decrease your CPA 15 or 20%, which is pretty wild. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Chanel, I know that there's some mock-ups here of different type of emails that you've put together in the past. Do you want to speak to each of these and what the strategies around them?
Yeah, definitely. So when we're talking about lifecycle marketing, right, the first step is getting somebody's email address, but generally they're not going to convert on that first touch point with your brand. So being able to follow up and nurture through email and SMS, how is your brand different than competitors? Like, how are you building a sense of community? How are you making their experience more personalized through welcome messages so that they will come back to the website and eventually make a purchase. But that's definitely not where your life cycle marketing efforts should stop, right? If after you've got that first conversion, the likelihood that someone is going to come back and purchase is much higher. So continuing that relationship through like your post-purchase messaging and then your overall campaign and content strategy is going to be really important, especially if you're a subscription brand. I know a lot of subscription brands might think that, hey, we already have someone subscribed, let's kind of let them forget that they're going to be charged every month, but we found the opposite to be true. If you have a subscription brand, your content strategy is going to be really, really important so that you're continuing to add value and make them excited to be part of your community. So, you know, and that can also include rewards and loyalty, which we'll get into more a few slides down, but continuing to nurture that lifetime relationship with your current customers is really important. And then once somebody has lapsed, have a solid strategy to win them back, like test different offers, test different messaging, you know, show back up in their inbox or their SMS and see what you can do to get them to come back and engage with your brand. Maybe you've launched new products. Maybe you have, you know, different data points about them where you can make that messaging more personalized. And so you're just always thinking about how you can engage and re-engage past customers.
Got it, love it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add here?
No, I mean, I'll just add, like, these are all great examples that you guys chose. You know, specifically looking at the welcome series, I mean, putting that strong content and pulling people into your brand and communicating who you are and what your values are about. Like, I love even the way, like, the plain text of that buttercloth one, like, we see so much success with those. You know, I think these are all just fantastic examples of like how these types of automation should be executed.
Yeah, never sleep on the like founders text email where you can have a chance to talk about the story. I mean, if you really look at the details in that story, he talks about his how he immigrated to America and how he graduated. You know, he literally, and I know Dan personally, but like essentially he worked his way through design school, paid it for it himself while working full time, and then got a job like building Barbie dresses for Mattel before switching and moving to Affliction and then starting his you know, Buttercloth. It's a wonderful story, and like, you know, really, you know, find that works not only in email, but like a lot of our paid ad strategy also speaks to kind of the brand story as well, you know, so some cool things you could definitely do there.
Yeah, and just one more note. Oh, one more thing on that, Moody. I know that we just included welcome series and post-purchase examples here, but if you're not utilizing text-based emails, definitely sprinkle that into your strategy. It doesn't always have to be from the founder. It can be from someone from your CX team or just someone who, you know, works with the company on like an abandoned cart email, or definitely in the post-purchase. It's just a much more personalized way to speak to prospective clients and customers.
Yeah, 100%. Because who sends text emails? Your friends. That's who, right? So like,
exactly.
All right, let's keep going here. So let's get into the details a little bit more. This is an interesting stat. Essentially, for established brands, 60% of your revenue will likely come from Q3 relationships or people who bought prior to the same year. Am I reading that correctly, Matt? Or is there anything else you'd add to that?
No, I mean, it goes back to the original slide where I talked about, you know, the trends that we're seeing in e-commerce right now is that 46% of people that we've surveyed are saying that they're looking at new brands, which, you know, now as we head into the final quarter of the year, this stat becomes even more relevant, that you want to be able to nurture and monetize these relationships rather than constantly worrying about hunting and acquiring. While that's important, there's so much to be gained in terms of, you know, what we were just talking about, personalizing and being able to target, you know, consumers that have already engaged, because you have established some level of trust within them, and then it's more a matter of, are you communicating in the right way to keep them motivated and engaged with the brand, which is an easier problem to solve than continuously trying to churn and bring people in for one purchase at a time.
Yeah, and I know a lot of our brands, I mean, they're either, you know, they're essentially amplifying all of their strategies, and now's the time where they're ramping up touch points, whether that's from the paid media side or email side, because, you know, just to this stat alone, I mean, we're already, you know, you can expect that people are making decisions, and we can go into the next slide where we talk about a little more, but essentially people are making decisions already, doing their research. What do they want to buy? Most people buy for themselves as well, so a lot of people are now holding out for things that they want. You know, in this case, it's really interesting, right? So like 1 in 5 customers are starting their shopping in or before October. It's October, so people are already either starting their shopping or deciding to hold out till you know, the big Cyber Week, Black Friday, that kind of thing. The other big thing that I think we're seeing now is that there's, you know, Amazon Prime will have a big hefty push literally a week from today for Amazon Prime Day, which will be 13 and 14. And I'm pretty sure there's some interesting strategies that we're taking advantage of with our clients with ramping up for Prime Day and kind of jumping on the bandwagon or just the trend, right? Like if you talk about consumer behavior as a whole, a lot of people are going to be kind of excited for Prime Day, going to be shopping, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger event every year. And there's some ways you can, you know, Chanel, what are some strategies we could be doing potentially on site or through email to capture some of that extra excited consumer behavior?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're a brand that doesn't sell on Amazon, I would still recommend having a strategy for those 2 days because people are going to be online shopping. So ramp up your email campaigns, get one out on the 13th, get one out on the 14th, put a pop-up on your site that offers people, hey, unlock our Amazon Prime specials today as a way to collect email address or to just let people know that you do have, you know, a promotion running for those 2 days. And that's really going to kick off the holiday shopping series or season, I'm sorry. So even if you're not selling on Amazon, definitely take advantage through your own media channels, at least your organic social and your email, and your CRO to capitalize on that.
Got it. Great. And then just to like sum up the rest of what this slide's talking to, it's, you know, look, a lot of people, and this isn't a surprise, but 50% are shopping in November, taking advantage of deals. A lot of people shopping for themselves as well. So don't think it's just gifting. And then a lot of people end up in that sort of, you know, final stage of you know, going through like the holiday. So I personally find myself shopping probably December 11th through 20th for others. I'm sure there's some people in the audience who are probably the same, which is, you know, as it goes. But I think it's interesting because of what's happening with all of this extra demand. A lot of logistics are being tested across the board. And I think that what we have to do is over communicate potential shipping delays and you know, potentially try to move that whole audience group earlier with strategic messaging. Otherwise, they'll fall in the trap where they may not necessarily get their shipments. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide here. Chanel, what do you think? You know, what are some big things that people should be really focused on here before they jump into planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and other big holiday things?
Yeah, for sure. So for our Black Friday, Cyber Monday checklist, some of the kind of easier things that go without saying, inventory, make sure you have plenty of it. Retail stores aren't going to be open like they have in the past. People are moving their shopping online. So make sure that you guys are set in terms of inventory. In terms of shipping, most stores and most consumers right now expect free shipping. So remove shipping fees if that's possible for you. If not, reduce shipping fees and make sure you're really clear about your shipping deadlines. So if someone needs to order a gift by December 1st in order to guarantee that it's going to get there by Christmas, be really clear in all of your marketing messaging. Send out emails every time a shipping cutoff is coming up. Let people know if there's an expedited shipping option if they're ordering late, but get really solid on your shipping prices and communication strategy. And then for discounting, you guys, what we found works best is just to keep it straightforward, keep it simple. A simple percentage works the best if you want to utilize tiered discounting. So, you know, save 10% if you spend $50, save 15% if you spend $75, just to keep messaging across all channels consistent. And then definitely implement Justuno pop-ups and unobars, and we'll have a couple more examples in a few slides, but making sure that your communication matches the channel that people are coming from. So if you are running a different discount on Facebook than email, make sure that the pop-ups and the unobars reflect that. So make sure you're showing the right offer to the right traffic, I guess. And countdown timers, definitely use those. Even if you reset them every day, make people think that this is their last chance to capitalize on the sale. And then in terms of like email automations, make sure your flows match that acquisition offer. So if your normal welcome flow offers 10% off, but for the holidays, you're going to be offering 20% off, make sure that that communication that they receive once they give you your email address reflects that offer. And generally what we'll do is we'll take a campaign email that we might have sent to our audience and use that as our welcome email for that time period, just to make sure we're consistent across all of our messaging. And then check your email caps, you guys. See what your Klayvio contract allows for monthly volume to make sure that your increased cadence is to make sure you're able to send to everybody with the increase in volume, and same with your Justuno contract. So make sure that you have it set to show to people with increased impressions, and upgrade. If you need to upgrade your accounts for this time period, that's what we see most of our clients do. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on what those caps are. And then the biggest one that I think a lot of people are talking about right now is SMS. So we've seen an increase in we've seen a revenue increase of 3 to 5x for this holiday season. And why is that? Because SMS is a much more personal communication platform, right? Everybody checks their text messages. SMS messages have like an 80% open rate compared to 20 to 30 for email. So it's just a much more direct way to get your messaging in front of your customers. So if you haven't already started growing an SMS list, I would say start right now, so that when the holiday period rolls around, you have like a solid list that you can be sending those promos to.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
I'd agree with the SMS component. We've seen more of our brands install like multi-field forms in their opt-ins right now. So instead of just having like a 10% offer all the way up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, a lot of people are running like VIP list exclusions, like, hey, sign up right now and we'll put you in a special list to get you early access to deals that start in early November. But also they've been adding the SMS component, you know, give us your email and your SMS. And like Chanel said, they have huge open rates. And I think as a brand, you want to have multiple touch points with somebody, not only from paid ads, but through email and SMS. And I think it's going to be a great way to kind of stand out from the inbox. I know the inboxes get totally flooded and you do get some good open rates, but maybe sending that text early on Black Friday and then maybe again later that night. But start now, start building your list. We have multiple ways to opt in, and including like a tap to text functionality on mobile. So I would get started today and run it all the way up to Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah, it's no question how big SMS is becoming. I mean, the numbers are just insane, but also, you know, people they ask me a lot, like, okay, like, what is the best strategy to, one, acquire SMS you know, I see it quite a bit in you know, pop-up flows where you ask for the email first and then you ask for SMS, or some brands are doing SMS only, but specifically on mobile. Like, what is the right balance? And at what point is SMS ever going to overtake email?
I don't think so.
That's for mattered. You know, both Matts, Chanel, and yeah, whoever wants to answer that. What do you think? You know, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I personally, I mean, this could come back to haunt me, you know, 10 years from now. I don't think so. I think there's a very big difference with current technology and what we have today that like email is just going to continue to be the primary method, but I think SMS is going to continue to grow. I think people are going to get better at it with the strategies. I think technology will continue to improve, but there's also the concerns that I look at where are brands going to handle this responsibly? How are, carriers going to have to step in and prevent bad sending? Like, because the cell phone is such a more personal device than email specifically, that you really have to protect with what you're sending and the strategy that's around that, because you're going to have to look at, imagine all the spam that goes to your email today. If that was going and hitting your pocket every, 2 or 3 minutes that you would have to sort through. So I think we're seeing steps in the right direction on that. But I think, with what we've seen so far from SMS, there's certain really strong use cases for it that will continue to adapt. But I think email, with what we've seen obviously over 30, 40 years, has continued to evolve and be more consistent. But again, it's the early innings of it. I really can't say, and I don't know if anybody could.
No, I agree with you too. I mean, imagine telling like a brand story through a text email, but on an SMS with 140 characters or whatever it is, right? That's just insane. That'd be hard to do. But it is great for little like jolts or jabs and promotions, or just kind of doing. Also, I get a lot of wine texts, or I don't know if you guys are on that platform, but I think Gary does a great job at collecting the card up front and then just sending these amazing like long form texts of like, so I think it's possible. Like, I think people are starting to figure it out. Matt, you were going to probably comment on what is the best strategy to acquire SMS, and it sounds like you've got some thoughts there.
Yeah, I think for desktop, having that two-step method of like asking for an email first and then an SMS second is probably the best component. Like Matt said, SMS is still so early on, but there's still a lot of questions around legality. Rules can change by the minute. The cool thing with email, it hasn't changed in 20 years. I think email is always going to be king. So I think with, on desktop, you can ask for an email, make the SMS field required, but you'll be surprised how many people actually opt in. And then with mobile, I say use the tap to text. It helps with consent. When they click that button, it opens a pre-populated text inside of Messenger, and they send the text to you first as a visitor or a potential customer. So I think that's been a really effective way. You can A/B test it in our platform. But Moody, you made a good point of being conversational and just having some sporadic hits. I think it's just a great way to have another touch point with a potential customer, and maybe it's somebody that's bought before and they've given you a number and you want to get that second or third purchase out of them. I think people are still trying to find out the right methodology on how to text. I don't know about you, but I'm getting way too many political texts right now.
I think we all are. Look, we're like, what? I think 29 days or something like that until.
Yeah, but you're opening them, aren't you? I'm opening them. I'm reading them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got another one, but I still read it. So it's a great stand out a little bit, but be smart about it.
I'm also getting the emails, which I think whoever's writing those emails is like top of their game. Like, I don't know if you're getting those emails too, but it's insane.
I'll throw in one real quick thing before we move on, if that's okay. Just for some extra peace of mind around like the billing piece for Klayvio, because we do have such a flexible model and everything's based on month to month. This is a prime example as to why we want that flexibility for our customers. So you can move up from November through January, and then January 1st, once you know the right size of like where your new list is after getting new acquisitions and things like that, you can scale it back down. So you have complete control at any point to continue to move that up or down, which isn't something that's common in the space, but that's just another one of those things. We know the complexities around growth and what it means to brands, so we provide that where you don't have to be overly concerned. Like, go ahead and make those changes and do what's right for your business, and then you right size it once we get into January.
I love it. Let's keep going here. I mean, we got only so much time, so I want to start moving forward a little bit quicker. Just calendar of events. This is, look, I think there's quite a bit coming up. If we want to get strategic around how you potentially should market for specific events, Chanel, did you want to take this one, or do you want me to just rattle through it?
I could take this one. So like we mentioned, Prime Day is going to be the kickoff for holiday shopping. So this is a great time to test different offers to to learn more about your consumer behavior right on your website before the holiday period. Singles Day is another holiday that's becoming one of the biggest e-commerce shopping days. So I think originally it started as, you know, a celebration of solo life, but even if that direct messaging doesn't fit with your demographic, there's a lot of ways to kind of change the messaging so that it does work. I see a lot of brands talking about, you know, self-empowerment or self-love or gifting yourself. So that's going to become, I think, a bigger and bigger holiday every shopping period. And then if it makes sense for you, if you guys have a strong VIP list, starting early with early bird Black Friday sales, utilizing that to collect email addresses on the website, and then just increasing your email cadence throughout that whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. Inbox real estate is going to be more important than ever. People are going to be sending more and more emails, so making sure that you're getting to the top of inbox and staying top of mind for all your offers is going to be really important. So definitely ramp up your messaging during the holiday periods.
I love it. One thing I wanted to hit on, because there's a question in the audience, but essentially for Prime Day, yes, run on site. I mean, you want to capture as much margin as possible and own the customer. So yeah, use the likeness of Prime Day to run on your own site and capture all your purchases and obviously your customer data as well. So that's definitely the way to do it. Great, let's go ahead and keep going. Cool. So what's going on here? I see a lot of interesting ways to display. It looks like we've got a tier discount, but essentially having like a welcome pop-up that's matching your messaging to your actual email cadence. One thing that's really unique to this is you've got like an early access pop-up there with an actual sales timer. Obviously that would be ticking. And then once you sign up, people can actually get to the Black Friday sale, which is the, you actually see like the unobar, which is that second image down to the left, but essentially spelling out what is the actual offer. You can either do this in the unobar itself, or you could put it like in a header image, like above the fold on your website. There's also some creative ways you could do it from a paid media standpoint in banners, but ultimately explaining what that is. There's also some tricks to it in the sense of you can actually tell people how much they have to spend to get to the next tier, which is a great, if you just go to Justuno's website, they've got amazing run-throughs of how to do that. But essentially this is the cream of the crop in terms of driving urgency across the whole web experience, and ultimately capturing capturing all that and driving, scale with your paid media strategy as well. Yeah, let me know if I explain that all right. Matt and Chanel, you guys are the experts here. What do you think? Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it. Oh. I think you nailed it. Just again, to reiterate, if you are running different offers, make sure that you're showing the correct pop-up and the correct unobar based off of traffic if it's something different for your organic versus paid media.
Yeah, and speaking to the cadence too, like 11:15 to 11:21, right? Running an early bird Black Friday offer allows you to scale your paid social campaigns as well, versus telling people to potentially wait, right? You're going to see a drop off in sales immediately if that's the strategy you take. But instead, if you do like an early bird unlock VIPs type of offer where people have to submit their email or phone number, then they can go right into the shopping experience and immediately get the offer. And that'll allow you to also push forward with your paid social or paid media strategy and actually scale that and then coast into Black Friday, Cyber Week, all of that with your ads already running versus trying to ramp up ads on the day of Cyber Friday or Cyber Monday or Black Friday.
Yeah, I would say if you are showing like banners like this, I think trying to make the text really legible and large and then follow people around is probably your best bet. And then if you are doing welcome campaigns to capture emails or just showing maybe a code early on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, try to have that message early and follow them around. And if you are doing different incentives to different channels, I wouldn't suggest doing it for everything. I think you can kind of keep it simple and say, okay, it's 30% off for everybody, but I'm going to do 40% for my VIP or my high value customers or people that have bought a bunch of times, and make sure that they're seeing that promo code when they're doing the visit. But I think with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, people are clicking around so much and trying to find the best deal. If you're not showing it early and often, I think you're kind of missing out on the opportunity for a conversion, because if you're not going to give me a deal, I'm going to go somewhere else.
100%. Great.
One thing,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like it is really important to differentiate between your VIP customers, especially if you do have a loyalty program. Like they shouldn't be treated in the exact same way as everybody else is just shopping for the first time. So that experience should be really tailored. Like they should have exclusive offers, and you should be showcasing, if you join our loyalty program, you will get like that free shipping, you get a free gift with purchase, like free gift wrapping, and make it exclusive to loyalty so that you get people like captured into that program, and that you're not having to necessarily give away that to everybody, but that there's, you know, that incentive to join loyalty.
Got it. Yep. I hear that. Just going into kind of the full approach of using kind of each of these tools. From a paid media standpoint, look, this is Brava. If anyone's not familiar with Brava, it's a brilliant super oven. They don't even like to be called an oven because it does so many cool things. It's got basically recipe programs where if you put in 3 ingredients, it'll cook each of those ingredients at the same time. It requires a ton of salesmanship and education in the creative from a paid media standpoint, and also from an email standpoint as well. So often our Black Friday or Cyber Monday strategy, specifically for these guys, is keep those heroes, those big long form videos intact, but run them with the copy at top of funnel speaking to the offer. So you're still educating, you're creating desire with all of your creative. Then they get to the welcome pop-up, which talks to the Black Friday VIP event, get $250 off. They enter the email, they get their discount, and then they'll get that welcome email if they don't happen to convert in that exact instance. And then of course, all of the other welcome series emails, which are education, recipes, things that past reviewers are saying, whatever those are. But it's quite important to use a triggered flow so you're matching at least with the first email, similar to what they came in on, either from a paid media standpoint or the pop-up you showed them that day. Is there anything else you'd add, Chanel, or did I get that pretty right?
No, you got that right, you guys. But just to reiterate, we've touched on it a couple times, but just keeping this whole funnel experience kind of seamless for the user. So coordinating your ad efforts to your on-site efforts to your email efforts are going to be really important all the time, but especially during the holiday and promo periods.
Got it. Great. And then, so there's quite a bit of different types of offers you could go into. I think there's a key balance of like what offers potentially you might do for paid media that you can scale campaigns off of versus how potentially you want to treat like VIP loyalist customers like Katie hit on, and then meeting somewhere in the middle that like makes sense for everybody. I think that for us, at least for my sake and the clients that I work with, I love to go either from a tiered discount perspective, really pump up and increase the AOV, and that way I'm able to scale more at potentially higher CACs, or a straight percentage off versus some of these others, right? So like versus like a free gift with purchase really like depends on how great that gift is. Free shipping is just not going to compete with the other offers out there during a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, free for all. And potentially dollars off could also work if you've got like a single SKU or a subscription type company as an offering, then dollars off could potentially also make sense. And then free gift wrapping sounds like would be great for loyalty customers in that sense. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add here?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I think you kind of did a good rundown here. Percentage off and tier discounts are perfect for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I think if you keep it a flat percentage, or you, like you said, try to increase AOV with that tiered offering, I think it's a great way to just drive some urgency, especially if you're using timers alongside that incentive option. But one thing I would recommend now until Black Friday, Cyber Monday is if you're running like a welcome opt-in, maybe try percentage versus dollar off. Maybe, you know, try different incentives to your paid versus organic. You know, sometimes we find out that the dollar off actually has a higher opt-in rate than the percentage off, and you actually save a little bit of margin. So I think if you do a little bit of testing right now, you can find that one incentive that might work well for a mass audience, which is really good. You know, we get a lot of questions around like, well, we're not a discounting brand as well. If you're able to, you know, throw in a gift with purchase, and one thing we saw last year that worked really well after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, kind of those last minute shoppers like Moody is on December 11th through 20th, is doing like something like free gift wrapping, maybe a gift card, you know, something that doesn't require actual inventory. So, you know, kind of think about those holidays even after Black Friday, Cyber Monday, if you're trying to drive a couple extra sales, you know, offer something like that. I think there's always some creative way to do an incentive. And my biggest suggestion is test now, get something solid for Black Friday. And then after that, you know, try a couple tips and tricks that we have on our website you can check out.
I love it. Great, let's move on. Cool. What you got here?
Yeah, you know, this is, again, just kind of reiterating some of the messages we talked about. But I think the main thing with 2020 and COVID and really kind of the unknown with the holidays is keeping communication clear and consistent on your website. So one of the things that we've been urging people is tell people about shipping deadlines, shipping delays if they have them. You know, being open and transparent, I think, is really important for creating trust for that conversion. We added this cool text ticker feature that you can put in any layer or pop-up or banner. But I think it's a great way to display multiple promotions or just give people kind of that reinforcement of, you know, what's happening in the world and being straight up with it. I think that's really a great way to create urgency. So shipping deadlines, shipping delays, you know, are something that's really apparent this year. So just being open and honest. And one other thing that's not on here is payment options. I know you are doing more with Klarna next week, but I think some people are struggling this year financially. So maybe having that type of messaging and banners, or after somebody adds a certain amount of dollar amounts to their cart, you know, doing a corner slide out like, hey, we accept Klarna or Afterpay, and just giving people options, I think, is a great way to kind of create that sense of urgency towards a purchase.
And then you can throw this in an Unobar and use it like as a notification piece as well, right? And that really
up to 10. It just like slides up to 10. So
that's really smart too, because like there's only so much space on your mobile screen. So instead of like fitting a ton of stuff or having like a 3 or 4 line Unobar, you can just have like text rotating there.
Yeah. I think the main takeaway is just being upfront and honest with people. I think everyone knows we're in COVID, we're in a pandemic, and you know, you as a brand needs to put that message out there for people, and you can do that on site and also in email and stuff. So just a suggestion this holiday season.
No, I love that. Great. And then moving on, look, every time someone's like, what pop-up, like, you know, what pop-up technology should I work? I'm using Klayvio, which is pretty much all of our clients. Like, I honestly think about just Uno and Klayvio, and even like the colors in your branding is almost very similar. Like you guys walk in lockstep, and we use you in that same regard across all of our clients, because just because you've been working together what seems like the longest. You guys have a lot of features that make a lot of sense. But maybe you can talk to this too a little bit, and how, you know, how you've integrated strategies from being a kind of an experienced pop-up technology to kind of funneling in customer data into Klavio and other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think when you think about email marketing and the type of segmentation you do with your contacts, if you kind of take that same concept to the on-site experience, I think you're going to find not only your customers will be more engaging with your brand, but you'll actually see a lot higher purchase opportunities. But, you know, we like to say it's all about intent. So, you know, people coming organically, they're like something specifically, and they landed on your brand for a reason, and they have much higher intent. So you can be a little bit more aggressive on your promotion or trying to get that email lead. But if you have somebody that's, clicked through 3 or 4 times through a Facebook ad, they won't engage with any type of pop-up or give you a lead. Those people might need a more gentle approach just to get that email to put into a flow. I think Klayvio's technology is amazing. I've been in the back end. I've seen a lot of really cool flows, and we want to put that type of data into those segments so that the flows can be effective. And if you are doing email opt-ins, collect hidden information. You can even ask people up front on the opt-in process. I think a lot of brands are scared to do that. Ask for an email and say, do you like men's or women's, or do you like these clothes, or maybe you have radio buttons or select options. You'd be surprised how many people will give you information, because when I give my information like that and then you send me relevant product recommendations based upon my data that I gave you, I think that just creates much more of a connection to your brand than if I just gave you an email contact. I think it takes a lot of the guessing game out. So I think that's one thing you can do with your on-site displays and opt-in opportunities is play around with the incentives, play around with the messaging, and just try to capture more intent and more data to put into Klayvio so that you're just having a more seamless experience. Chanel did a great job with that slide earlier where it was like your ad looks the same, your welcome pop-up, and your email. You can repeat that for so many different segments of visitors that I think could be good 2021 strategies, or even just building up for the holidays here.
Got it. Great. Moving on to other Matt. What are some other things brands should be looking at from a segment point of view? What are some other like hidden gems locked or they can find in their customer database, and how should they be thinking about it come this Q4?
Yeah, I think some of them are applicable year round and you just tweak the strategy around the communication portion of it. And then some that we have on here that are more specific to the holidays. As Katie pointed out, VIP customers continue to be just really important to talk to. They need to be communicated with in a way that makes it clear that you understand their importance and relationship with your brand. And then it doesn't always have to be offers, but is it a sneak peek into a product launch? Is it access to a panel with the founder? It can be anything, but as long as you're treating those VIP customers in a way that inspires them to stay, really close to your brand, not only from purchasing, but through that word of mouth referral aspect. That's how you want to be focusing on them. And that's a year-round strategy, but even more so as we head into the holidays where people, typically are getting together, and this year probably on Zoom, but they're going to talk about their experiences and they're going to talk about the shopping that goes along with that. So making sure that that's a really tightened up for you going into the holidays. This is another one from our holiday guide that I really like that kind of goes against, how typically you look at reaching out to people that might not be as engaged within your list. But going and talking to those previous Black Friday, Cyber Monday customers about last year's purchase, maybe they are somebody that only really shops at deal times of the year. And maybe last year just fell flat. They might have liked your product a lot, but they didn't really go much more beyond that to dig into your brand. So what are you doing around that? I think this is as good a use case for trying to re-engage somebody who might not have heard from you in the last year, to go and test the waters, see if there's something out there to go and make them, feel inspired to learn more about the brand, make another purchase, and kind of like jumpstart that process. If it doesn't work from there, I think, you can suppress them as a contact going forward, but it is definitely something that's worth, exploring as we go into this crucial time of year.
Got it. And then the dreaded window shopper. What are some strategies we could be doing there to get them to finally make a decision and convert?
Yeah, I think that one's a little bit more complex, but I think it does hit on a lot of the things that we're talking about here. It's what are the methods that you can utilize to go and align your messaging to go and talk to them. So if you have the information already, you see, the browse abandonment from the site, retargeting something through there. I think this is a really good use case for using SMS if you have it enabled already. That's something that we focus on from an immediacy standpoint. So can you trigger something from there, or can you retarget this information with, a social ad? What can you be doing to motivate that purchase? Obviously, there's the opportunity to send out discounts. I don't love to go to that as the first answer, but that is another tool that you have here where you get that browse abandonment, you go towards them with some type of offer. But again, it goes back to what we've been talking about of like syncing your communication and themes across channels, knowing what product they looked at, and then retargeting, through some channel that way to say, hey, check this out again, here it is. But yeah, whatever you can do to kind of attack this from all angles to go after that purchase, I think is something that's super relevant.
Got it, great. And then, so post Thanksgiving, and I think a question from the audience came is like, how do we retain people and really get them to actually build out into our modeled LTV model in terms of becoming purchasers again, coming back? How do we re-engage them?
Yeah, I think where this really goes, and that's an excellent question. I love, that's the thought going forward. This is where that content communication strategy piece comes in. You want to find a way to start pulling them in. So you have a good experience. Ideally, shipping and fulfillment went flawlessly. They love the product. But this is a place, can you capture a review? Can you get a survey from them? And then can you trigger content and cross-selling of purchases? So again, using dynamic blocks through Klayvio, you can trigger something that's a sensible pair to the item that they purchased. But I'm a lot more of a fan of like, can you build the relationship from a content aspect? So again, going back to what we talked about with the text-based emails from somebody relevant in the company, like a founder or somebody, that might have been a designer. Another strategy that we've seen that's done really well is incorporating, advocates from your brand, people that are customers and have wrote in or left some really meaningful review. If you can get the okay to include that in a follow-up, maybe starting to build a community around that. And if you do have a community through Facebook or somewhere else, can you invite that person to be a part of that and start bringing them into a larger conversation? Anything ultimately, that doesn't have to necessarily be sales focused, but can you do something to pull them in and really make them a part of your brand and feel valued in that way?
Got it. And then, I think let's talk about A/B tests and just essentially creating like some automations there. What are the top 3 ways that brands can really get this going if they're not? And because you could literally, I think you could speak an hour on the different ways you could potentially run automations on all of these here. So give me the top 3.
I'll just ramble a little bit rather than be specific. But no, I think what we've talked about quite a bit today of, is it a percentage off or is it a dollar off variation of a coupon? That's going to tell you a lot right there. Or does the actual amount matter? So A/B testing something along that. Subject lines I think are huge still. It's one of the best places to be A/B testing because you're going to see, are you drawing people in that way? And then again, looking at the layout of your email, you can A/B test the different ones that you have in there to find, are the click-through links in the right area, and is it set up in a way that is conducive to moving people, through the funnel? And I think the biggest feature that we have that also goes along with that is that you can set up our A/B testing to go to, maybe 25% of your designated list, set whatever you have as a benchmark for success. Once one of those ends up winning, we will automatically transition to the winning campaign or strategy or whatever it is, and then just continue sending to the rest of the 75% of that list. So you really can put even the A/B testing on autopilot for automations, being able to just go forward from there once you have your criteria defined and you end up with a winner.
Cool. And then I just jumped a slide here just to show you like exactly what you're hitting on, I think. Which makes a lot of sense. That offer is a big one for sure. All right, so let's keep moving on here. I think Katie, we haven't heard enough from you, and that's probably my fault, but what are some quick tips to hit the ground running here that you want to kind of summarize with?
Yeah, so I think we've touched on a lot of this with, building, whether it's an SMS or an email flow that triggers to the recency of customers. So leveraging like predictive analytics for people who have been loyal and purchased from you and offer them incentives. Again, like really driving people to join loyalty is a great way to get them into that funnel. Tell them they'll get early access to special things during the holidays. And then play with gamification. Like a big thing we see in the loyalty and reward space is you need to be competitive. Free shipping, as we've mentioned, isn't going to be enough. So can you offer exciting things that will change every day or every hour that will incentivize customers to keep coming back to the site? You can kind of think of like the Sephora logic of they have monthly VIP rewards that change. Like, how do you keep driving people back with different incentives? Let's see, leveraging mobile pop-ups. We've talked about a lot of this. Everybody is shopping online. So how you can capture that SMS and email subscribers during that time. And then, yeah, I think we've touched on this as well, but abandoned cart flows. We have seen one thing I'll add that we actually don't necessarily have here, but with SMS having more like conversational messaging that happens. So one thing is, I actually think I have it on the next slide, but it's asking, are you shopping for yourself or are you shopping as a gift? So that's really great to understand, like for future segmentation purposes, did this person originally come to us for themselves and can we continue to target them with the same type of products, or was it for somebody else and we need to figure out how we can put them on a different track? But it's really great. Like another example that's here is even asking people about like skin type. So gathering that information, do you have dry, oily, or normal skin? And then being able to segment products and put them on different tracks accordingly. So.
Got it. No, that's great. It's really great. All right, so keeping them coming back throughout Q4 and then beyond, I think that, no question, right? Like, so people are taking advantage of offers as first-time customers. There's always a kind of side eye, or like, is this person going to be someone who comes back forever? So we've got some slides here about how to bring them back. Let's keep going. Cool. So Matt, look, this is the cycle, right? You want to touch on this for a second?
Yeah, this is ultimately how you should be thinking around your strategy at all times. That there are these 4 components that you should be planning, how it seamlessly flows through the entire process. Because when you're not going through it in that way, like you're liable to leave certain parts out that just aren't going to click together. And that's basically what we're talking about today, is how do you keep all of this completely streamlined and coherent and then ultimately meaningful in terms of the strategy you're communicating to the customers that you want to acquire.
Yeah, 100%. And then what can you do with all of that data?
And so, yeah, this is, it's been great how we've talked through, the different methods of collection. I love, how Matt was bringing up, and I'm a big fan of this too. Like, can you do quizzes or surveys or things to get people to offer up more about them? Because the more that you're being able to build out these robust profiles and store this data over time and continue to add to it, that's what's ultimately going to help your customer LTV. You're going to be able to then take the profiles are successful and are considered like VIPs within your brand, and then you can target it with lookalike audiences through our Facebook and Instagram integration. So you're able to take some of the guesswork out of it in terms of, this data is already valuable to the consumers that you have. Let's retarget and sync this towards like audiences that look like our VIPs and continue to bring those types of people in through acquisition.
Yeah, and that's a no-brainer. This is something we're utilizing across all of our ad strategies on Facebook. It's like, how many ways can you segment data and bring it into Facebook and, have that be part of your targeting strategy? Just rattling off the top of my head, like how much people are spending, how frequently they're spending, gender-specific demos, if your brand caters to both. So it's like that, category-specific or product-specific buying behavior and building lookalikes off of that. Seasonality, right? People who have bought last fall are now, are potentially a seed audience for a lookalike for people who might buy your fall line today. So those are like the most common ones which we've seen from Klayvio into Facebook, and people should really be experimenting with all of those. Great. Great. So give me some more insight here beyond the basic welcome series. Look, we've had quite a bit of some advanced strategies there, but I'm sure you've got some more insight into how we could potentially keep testing this as it's so important to convert people who really like on the fence, whether they came in through organically or from a paid media standpoint.
Yeah, I think understanding where somebody came in from is really important. So if you're seeing that they came through like an Instagram ad, that's obviously going to be more visual. So maybe you're relying a little bit more in their welcome series, focusing on visual elements to the product and some light context around it, versus, if they're coming through a traditional search or a post-purchase, like, are you going to trigger a different type of welcome series for them? Like if they came through a blog post, are you going to then maybe align with a little bit more text heavy and just some, new introduction of images or things of that nature? Like ultimately you'll want to test these things out and see where they're going. But being able to create a welcome series that is completely unique to the area that somebody is coming from is going to be really impactful. And then you can take learnings from other areas, through campaigns or other welcome series that you've tested out. Maybe does a certain demographic respond better to more visual elements in a welcome series, depending on the channel and demographic they're in, versus others. But ultimately, like you can see in the high lead example that we have on there, that's a really well thought out welcome series with a lot of flow branches. But that's ultimately what we're trying to get people to start thinking of like how hyper segmented can you get where it's still relevant and meaningful to the brand, but then you're delivering a really cool experience.
Right. No, I mean, those are real segmented. What about, so real-time follow-up. Tell me what's happening here.
Obviously super important from the fulfillment standpoint. We hit on this today of what that experience is like as we get closer to the holidays and needing that gift and item there. Being able to just trigger these things out after the purchase is completed and en route, like being able to consistently deliver updates and meaningful information, or if there's something like with a product, is there information they need to know as they purchase that product? I think Brava is a great example. You could do a post-purchase with that where you're actually going to show not only the delivery coming and like the fulfillment information, possibly triggered through our SMS to say, here's where it is, here's when it's arriving and all that. But could you be sending out instructions and recipes and things of that nature to get people excited during the fulfillment process as well?
Yeah, definitely some no-brainers there and into how you need to drive that customer experience. But this is, so like walk me through predictive analytics here. How are you guys determining this, and how are you seeing it be successful for brands that are implementing this?
So being able to take, what you understand from a predictive analytics standpoint in these post-purchase and split it off, ultimately comes down to like where they are in the relationship and how they actually acted during the purchase process. And maybe if it's somebody that's coming through for the first time, maybe you're treating them a little bit differently in what kind of communication you're going to put. Is it going to be things that are going to focus on more of a repurchase and understanding when their next date of order is? And then if it is somebody more falling into the VIP segment who has made more purchases over all time or at a higher value, are you splitting off the follow-up on expected date of next order differently for them to communicate along those lines? So really understanding, what we're telling you through the predictive analytics about groups, and then creating, how you want to treat the different segments from there.
Got it. Great. And then, all right, let's transition into customer loyalty. Looking at where we place this, it's a little bit out of order. We got a lot more coming from a customer loyalty standpoint, but Katie, like walk me through what are some things that I mean, look, like customer loyalty is, I think, really important. Establishing a program and then making a rich and fulfilling program for the customer is really, really important. And I mean, look, the results are insane in terms of like how many people stick around and what you could do with that. So let's walk through this first. Like, what are some things or ways that companies can get started with implementing their loyalty across the organic, and then specifically like how to take advantage of it here for Q4?
Yeah, so this is really just about taking advantage of an engaged audience during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, when people are shopping. Like, make sure that they are aware that you have a loyalty or a referral program. So lots of people might make purchases during the holidays, might not be aware that you have a loyalty program, but hit them with a loyalty insert, for example, so that when they're unboxing it, they'll be able to see, oh, I can get points for the purchase that I just made, and there are these ongoing benefits. And there's that incentive for them to come back and not just be the one-time holiday shopper. Also, a big thing is going to be just recommendations. Like everybody right now is talking to their friends about like, where should I buy this like new office furniture? During the holidays, it's going to be a lot of like brand discovery. So people will be looking to their friends for, hey, what should I get my mom? And you can offer them, hey, if you refer your mom, use my code, and then I get $15 for my gift for my mom. So there's a lot that you can take advantage of during this time to ensure that you're identifying advocates now, getting them to refer and talk about your brand during this important time, and then that those that do make purchases, you re-engage and make them aware of the program.
100%. And then let's go deeper into loyalty a bit more. So just kind of like going into the cost to acquire, we know that, we've already gone over it. So let's go into this. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're close to time, so I can speed through like at a high level. Like what's happening in today's world is that we know that it is so important to have high LTV. But what we're seeing with loyalty programs is that overall, people aren't engaging with loyalty programs. It's a very competitive space. So 61% of consumers switched from one brand to another in the last year. So what can we do with the loyalty program to ensure that they're not switching to try a new shoe company, that they're coming back to you again and again? So 71% of consumers say that loyalty programs don't engender loyalty. So what we're doing at Yotpo, if you go to the next slide, is looking at understanding, we've gone through a lot of this today, customers expect personalization. So that's why customers previously haven't been as engaged. So they expect a personalized experience. Loyalty is the way to give that to them. You can leverage the loyalty program to collect a lot more customer data. So we're talking about how important it is to get their email address, get them to sign up for SMS, capture information about what product types they like. You should offer incentives through points, so that, okay, if you give me this information, there's an incentive for you to do so. And then it can be growing towards an ultimate discount. And you're not just giving single discounts for every action, but it's actually building towards a discount. So people are struggling that they're really taking this like laissez-faire, let's just give people points for earning, but there's a lot of different transactional or engagement-based activities that you can encourage that aren't just transactional in a loyalty program. So the numbers speak for themselves. 53% or 53% more purchases per customer from those that are engaged in loyalty programs. They have on average a 9% higher AOV and a 65% higher LTV. So I can speak to brands that I work with where you see numbers of like customers in the loyalty program are spending hundreds of dollars more on average than those that are not in the program. So it is really worthwhile to push people into that funnel. And the way in which we're doing that is really approaching loyalty differently. So traditional loyalty is just transactional. So the only time you're interacting with customers is letting them earn for purchases. We really build programs that are built around different types of engagement. So social campaigns, letting people know that they can earn points for following you on Instagram. They can earn points for leaving reviews, referring friends. So there's a lot more of a relationship oriented with it if it's not just purely transactional, so that you're building this community through social, getting brand advocates with reviews, and ultimately creating a better relationship with customers. So a lot of things here about what it encompasses a customer-centric loyalty program. It's a really tailored brand experience so that when they come to the site, you're recommending products that are specific to them and that they have a different experience than those that are first-time shoppers. It's really important as retail starts to open that you have a consistent omni-channel approach, so that if customers are purchasing online and in store, that the program is in both places and they're earning for transactions with your brand in store and online. And yeah, everything we've talked about with how important it is for it to be personalized and lots of data that we can collect on the customer through these different incentives so that you can optimize their experience. So yeah, just more data here. 71% of customers say that a loyalty program is a meaningful part of their relationship. So if you do have a reason to come to the site, it's that you're earning points for every purchase and getting exclusive offers. With personalized loyalty, data that we've collected say that there's 6.4 times higher satisfaction for the customer when they engage with your brand. And then the last one, I think, is just the omni-channel. So how frustrating is it when you've been a loyal customer to a brand, but when you're shopping in store or online, you don't have that unified experience? Loyalty is kind of the way to bridge that. That if you offer loyalty for both places, you can gather transactional data about the customer to know, okay, they're shopping this many times in store, this many times online. And this is just an example of the data in a real person. So David, who's a top VIP tier customer, he's redeemed, so he's super engaged. His last purchase was 72 days ago. So things that you can do with David is ask him to refer friends. He's obviously a brand advocate. He's super engaged. Ask him to refer friends. Let him know that you're treating him as a VIP by giving him early access to any sales that you're running during Black Friday, and just engage these customers through SMS and offering different incentives throughout the site to, again, show people you have loyalty. They can earn even bigger discounts with loyalty plus the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. So sped through that as quick as I could.
No, I appreciate that. Cool. So I know we have a couple of questions here, you know, and I kind of want to turn to the audience too. Please type out any sort of questions that you may have. One that I saw earlier on, I think it was one of the first questions, was I would love to hear the panelists' thoughts on how we balance CAC versus LTV. One second, my chat shifted. Coming back. So I would love to hear how to balance CAC versus LTV during holidays when we know cost will increase due to promotion spend. How can we leverage Klayvio's post-holiday to build LTV? So Matt, you want to take that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I loved it when I saw that come through, and we kind of touched on it already, but essentially what I was talking about last time on there, you want to be focusing on what that experience is like post-purchase so that you're not relying on further discounts and that you are recouping, you know, whatever you did through the holiday season. And I think it's the prime time to be doing that right after, because you have somebody who's newly engaged and obviously wants to, you know, be involved, or is giving you at least the opportunity to go do it. So what can you put together from a strategic perspective to speak to them in a way that's going to be compelling? You know, take whatever information you're able to gather through the purchase process and then go ahead and retarget that. But obviously, if you don't have enough to work off of, try a few different things, but they're looking to be engaged. And if you're taking the relevant data that you do have and targeting that, odds are you're going to have a pretty high success rate, and then obviously turn them into a much more long-term customer.
Got it. Great. And then another question for you, but how do you actually sync segments out of Klayvio into Facebook? Like, is there, you know,
so
I mean, look,
I'm going to drop a link into the chat that Sarah could share back out if she wants. It's a little bit complicated to talk through.
I bet you I can get to it faster than you can.
There you go. Awesome. You're a superstar.
Let me see. Actually, I think I only did it to us.
All good. I sent it to everyone.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Sorry, I just got it to everybody. Yeah. But yeah, basically it works two ways. We can retarget, and you can target originally, and then you can sync to like audiences, and it should all be covered in there.
Y'all should just run paid media, like video ads of this feature alone to people who like Shopify and happen to be Facebook admins, and you'll get a whole bunch of people signing up.
I'm surprised the amount of people that don't realize like it exists and how powerful it can be. A lot of times it just streamlines it because it takes away some of the other things that can kind of be distracting, and then really just drills down into stuff that you know will drive revenue with syncing it.
Great. And then cool. So, just wrapping up, any final thoughts? Let's just go down the line. I'm going to start with Chanel. What do you think? Last final thoughts. What are maybe top 3 things people could be doing to really just maximize revenue here this Q4?
Top 3 thoughts. All right. Start growing your SMS list, you guys. Right now, today, go sign up. Start collecting phone numbers. Build out your SMS strategy to align with your email strategy in terms of promotions. Get pop-ups on site. Start collecting, data as quickly as you can, and make your ads, your pop-ups, your emails all match. Give customers a seamless experience so that they continue to return to your brand throughout the holidays and after.
Solid. Maddie B, what do you got?
Yeah, I think first thing is just start building your list, VIP list, email or SMS. It depends on what you guys are looking for. I think testing your incentive opt-ins right now, 10% versus $10 off. Like try doing a little bit of A/B testing for the incentive and the display up until Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And I think just getting all of your on-site displays formalized and set up here in October. We have a cool scheduling feature where it just turns on during the days. So I think focusing in on getting that all set up and ready and tested, and just let it run while you focus on the orders coming in.
Got it. No, that's solid. That's really strong. Matt, what final thoughts here? What do you got?
I would say make sure that all your core automations are set up and ready to go for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then use the next month to really fine tune your A/B testing. And if you have access to predictive analytics, if your account has enough data in it already, start playing around with that. And then the final piece is, think a few steps ahead. Assume that you're going to have some great success through the holiday season. What are you going to do when January 1st gets here? How are you going to keep those people engaged and actually build your audience and not just acquire them for a few weeks?
I love that. And Katie, last but definitely not least, what you got?
Yeah, I would say that the most important thing is really to understand the importance of treating your VIP customers different during the holiday season than every other shopper, and taking this as an opportunity to get people into that funnel of loyalty. Like the way to grow LTV is to get them into a program that offers unique incentives, and as I said, creates like a true brand experience and community every time they come back to the site.
Great, solid advice. All right, thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you all my panelists. You guys were wonderful. Really had some valuable insights. I'm wishing the biggest and best Q4 that possibly we'll ever have. But yeah, good luck. Thank you. This is MuteSix signing off.